And I'm like, oh, how can I not answer this call from this beautiful human who's going to inspire me, not suck life out of me? I knew it was going to be a life pouring in thing. I'm like, what's up? You're like, man, aren't mornings magical? And I was like, oh, man. Like literally in that moment when he said that, from an innocent phone call, from a like on a picture, that book was born right there, man. Welcome to Get Busy Living with Clark Bartram. I am very enthusiastic, very excited, and just a little giddy about my guest today because I got the urge for Serge. I got my brother Sergio Gutierrez in the house today, and I'm telling you what, man, it's hard to out-positive me. It's hard to out-enthusiastically exist me. But this guy does it because he's out there. Talk about getting busy living. I mean, this guy literally is out there getting busy living, doing what God created him to do. That is to be an artist. That's exactly what it is. He creates art on a guitar. He creates art on a stage. He creates art on a canvas. He creates art with his words. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to create some awesome energy for you. Sergio, what's up, my brother?
Man, you know, life is what you focus on, right? I mean, it's easy to be positive when you're focusing on all the beautiful things that you've been blessed with. So,
absolutely,
life is incredible, and just getting better. Getting married this year, a lot of things happening, and just loving every step of the way.
I love it. So I got a couple gifts for you.
Ooh.
From one of our sponsors. So we're in the middle of a live commercial right now. Vitos Lifestyle. You've seen all the stuff at my house before. But because you travel so much and because you're a person who doesn't let up on your workouts while you're traveling, those are bands. Go ahead and pull one out. And
okay.
I want you to see it. It's a band that you can fit in your suitcase, in your guitar
How'd you
box,
know this is my favorite color?
or whatever. Yeah, because I know, man, I watch your stuff. But that's high quality stuff right there. And I just wanted to bless you with that because I know you will really use it.
Sweet,
so
man.
you and your fiance can use that. And what, you know, I got more stuff for you, but I just wanted
These
to bless
are
you with
great,
that today.
man.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to check out more products like Sergio's holding right there, go to vitoslifestyle.com. Use the code Clark and you can get bands like this. You could attach it to a pole, you know, in a hotel room, whatever. But use the code Clark and save 10%. So anyway, those are yours.
Might be able to use it as a hair tie, just kind of.
Well, you got enough hair and that's a big enough tie to fit it all in.
Dude, what a brilliant product.
It's great, right? Because it's not your typical rubber like a lot of them are, which isn't comfortable if you put it around your leg or you know, on your arms when you're doing a chest press or something. That material is a little bit more forgiving. So it's good stuff.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you.
Yeah. But speaking of hair, you have some hair on your lip, man. What's up with the mustache? That's a new look for you.
Yeah, I've never had a mustache in my entire life. Okay. And the very short story of it, my fiance, Peyton, she just turned 30. Okay. End of April. And so in the beginning I said, babe, you're going to turn 30. You know, you're the most beautiful 30-year-old ever. You know, what do you want? I love you so much. What do you want for your big 3-0? And she looks at me, she goes, I want you to grow a mustache. And I go, not going to happen. You know, what do you want?
Low maintenance woman for one.
Right. Oh, 100%. And I was like, no, seriously. She goes, no, seriously. So I just began shaving everything else except the stash, and here we are.
So how do you like the stash?
Oh, man, I'm getting teased because I'm like, I don't like it. And people are like, dude, her birthday already passed. If you really didn't like it, it'd be off your face. And I'm like, well, you know, when you have to comb it and you're like taking care of it, it kind of becomes a little something more than just, you kind of get a little attached. I'll be honest. But we have one of our best friends' wedding in Idaho this weekend. I said, it's going to stay for the wedding and it's coming off after. And of course, she thought I meant our wedding in September.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, no.
The wedding we're going to this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend, and then it's off. Yeah.
That's funny. I grew a mustache one time. I looked like a gay porn star. Like it was.
Here I am.
I was like, man, and I found a picture of me the other day with it, and I was like, what was I thinking? And it's funny because I believe it was Anita when we were dating way back then that asked me to do it, and I don't know what the intrigue is with a man in a mustache, but you look good with it. You know, I mean, you can pull off anything, brother, honestly, because you're daring, you're bold, you're not afraid to express yourself.
Not at all.
You know?
I've heard it all. You know, I've worn weird things, and, you know, mustache is the least of my worries.
Exactly.
It's all good.
Yeah, I love it. So let's talk about where you've been, what you've been doing. The last time you were here on the Pants Off podcast, we had a lot of fun doing that, but it's been a while. We've seen each other here and there, but I mean, your career's taken off. You're like living the dream right now, literally.
I do feel that way. I mean, first and foremost, you know, I'm 36 now. I'll be 37 at the end of the year. And first and foremost, I've truly chosen the people that I surround myself with. And that has been, if I can name one thing that has changed my life, it's that. You know, and when you hang around the right people, they will not only be your cheerleaders when you need them to be, but they will be real with you. And that's the best part of it. So yes, I mean, my career's taken off because of the people that I surround myself with. And of course, my daily, you know, decisions and daily disciplines, of course. But yeah, it's fun. I get to wake up and travel, play my guitar, and paint some paintings and help society. You know, I do a lot of charity work, especially for veterans and young artists, and it just feels good.
You know, proximity is basically what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And there's a video that just came up on my YouTube channel today and my reels about who you're around and how that really does affect you. So I'm with Michael Hearn, you had mentioned that, and right. Robbie Robinson, the Black Prince of Bodybuilding, working out. How can you not level up when you're within proximity of those people?
I saw that video. You're like, energy. I could not lift this if I didn't have the energy. And I love that message. It's so true.
And if people got it, and it goes as far as this. I was with Jason Ellis yesterday doing a photo shoot, and he always tries to put us in an environment that will level you up. So he had me meet him at Pelican Bay Resort in Newport Beach.
Nice.
High-end resort. You go there and you automatically level up.
Yes.
Your income feels like it instantly goes up, right?
Yes.
So then we started talking about proximity and people that you meet and how you meet those people. And we talked about flying coach or first class. So if you choose to fly first class and you can't necessarily afford it, but you look at it as an investment to give you proximity, you don't know who you might sit next to and how that 3 or 4 hour conversation in first class might have a massive return on that investment.
Right.
You know?
Right. And if anything, it's just, you know, your energy levels, just like you were saying, you almost sit a different way than you were if you were to be in coach, right? You speak differently. So can you imagine if you choose to surround yourself mostly with those types of people and those more affluent situations, dude? And that's all I've done. Small town New Mexico kid, growing up in the desert surrounded just by
dirt.
And then when you would go out, everybody's like just partying in the dirt. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when that is your life every day or every weekend, it's like, bro, there's more to life than this, surely.
Yeah. So how do you stay attached to that hometown boy? Because that's something I think a lot of people struggle with as they try and elevate their own personal game. Not that you are looking back on that or you're looking down on that. Like for me, I come from Canton, Ohio, and there's a parallel universe Sergio. There's a parallel universe Clark who would have stayed in Canton, Ohio, and the Sergio that would have stayed in New Mexico. What would that guy have looked like compared to the guy that's living the dream today of traveling, playing guitar, doing the art on stage? You know, so how do you stay tethered to that authenticity and not offend the people that you love by elevating your game and flying in first class or being around the people that have achieved more than what you might have in that parallel universe?
Oh, how do I stay tethered? Well, I think it's just about being genuine. I mean, I say this all the time when I speak about living back home. My parents still live on a dirt road. And when you pass somebody on a dirt road, you wave to people, right? It's that simple kind of small town. If somebody has a flat tire, you stop and, hey, man, do you need help? You know, it's that. So I think just the genuine expression of caring for people, right? That's kind of what I keep in mind living in a bigger city and stuff, because you don't find that in the city, right? And you'd be surprised. I mean, I'm sure you buy somebody a cup of coffee behind you, or you just wave at somebody. They're like, what, why?
Yeah.
And I wish the world weren't that way, right? But that's what I appreciate about growing up in a small town, and I think I keep that kindness, the tethering that you're talking about, just small town kindness.
Yeah. I think I would answer the same way, because that's what I'll do when I'm home in Canton, Ohio. My brother we'll get a flat. We'll be the ones getting a flat. And he'll say, you get out and change that tire. This is where you're from. Don't ever forget your roots. And I would never want to forget that, because that's part of what makes us who we are.
Right.
And that's part of the kindness and the gentleness that people feel in you that separates you from everybody else doing a similar job as you.
Right.
Because you're not acting like the artist or the star.
No.
You know the gift that you possess, but you're still maintaining the connection with the people. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
And that to me is what is really going to make you the ultimate success that you see as we travel the road. But I know you stay in the now. Like, you read books, you're constantly,
Big time.
I'm sure you've read Eckhart Tolle more than once, The Power of Now, and you stay in the moment. You don't get caught up like, when I get this or if I get that.
No, as cheesy as it sounds, like, the journey is the fun, because I don't know if you ever read Shoe Dog, the Nike story. But the dude, once he kind of retired, if you will, he's just like, man, with all those challenges and bankruptcies and all this crap that went on, that was exciting. And now he's just sitting there in a chair, just kind of old dude. He's like, man, I want that energy. I want that excitement. It wasn't all bad.
Yeah, I can relate that really easily. Like, you see my social media, me doing these trick shots.
I love it.
So I had this one
We love it.
that kicked my butt, literally. And it was me kicking a football off a tee, full court, trying to make it into the basketball hoop. I finally did it yesterday. Every single rep was worth the effort that it took to make it.
Yes.
But when I finally made it, it was like, okay, now what? Now what's next?
Now I just go home?
Yeah, and the frustration of kicking and missing and hitting and getting so close and all of that, and going back and forth and having people witness me and say, hey, have you done it yet? Because it was days and hours, like literally 14, 18 hours over several days it took me to do that. But as I reflect back on it, it's the exact same thing that you said with our career. It's the journey. It's the walking back and forth and the conversations that you have in your head when you wake up in the morning and the gig canceled, or the credit card didn't go through, and it's like, gosh. And then you have to have that conversation. You have to talk yourself back up and convince yourself, I've done it before, I can do it again. And that is the journey that is exciting, because Phil Knight at home on the couch with billions of dollars is like, now what?
Exactly. And within all that, I think to highlight basically figuring things out. That's all this is, right? Like you said, what happens when the gig gets canceled, when the credit card, all this stuff. And I have a 14-year-old brother, and he's in that kind of shithead phase of not wanting to do his homework and all this stuff, ignoring my parents when they're saying, hey, put down that guitar and get to doing your math homework, right?
Oh, so he's following his big brother's footsteps. With
Exactly.
The guitar. Okay.
And long story short, my parents call me one day. They go, hey, can you please have a talk with your brother? And there's two things I stressed. Number one, respect your parents. you know, and in our case, we're super blessed in that our parents have been together almost 40 years. They're incredible role models on what love is just in general. But number two, I'm like, hey man, I get it. I was 14 years old. I didn't want to do math homework. I wanted to play my guitar. I was you years ago, 20 years ago, right? And I said this, don't look at solving all these math problems as math problems. Look at them as solving something. Just take the math out of it. Of course, you have to do the homework, this and that, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look at it as problem solving, because you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life.
That's sage advice, right? And I choose that word because that's what it is. You're 20 years as an elder, having walked in the exact dirt streets, understanding what he has with parents. And that's the thing that I really love about you the most, is how you treat your parents when you're around them.
Oh, I love them.
And yeah, that to me is really what keeps you tethered to humility and authenticity, and the things that you had mentioned earlier, is the fact that your mom is so sweet and the relationship that you have is so sweet, and your dad is a man's man, but at the same time you can see how much he loves and respects your mom. So 40 years together is truly something to celebrate, and the best way to celebrate it. And what's your little brother's name?
Santiago.
Santiago, if you're listening, the best way to celebrate it is by doing what your older brother said. Respect what your parents are asking you to do. It's hard at 14. It makes no sense at 14, but we've all been 14, and one day you're going to be 34 and up on that stage rocking like your older brother does, and we'll look back and go, you know what? He was right. Because he is.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was in his position. Like, it's not kind
Same
of
bedroom, same.
Yeah, totally. It's pretty odd,
Right?
but fun, you know. Yeah. So yeah, so problem solving, man. We're gonna have to do it, and I think you can solve these problems by asking better questions, right? You get better answers, and you get better just ideas on how to solve those problems. So
what are you excited about right now, other than you're getting married? You and Peyton have been engaged and you're getting married soon. That's super cool. I know that's exciting for you.
Yep.
Because you've been...
Someone tame the dragon.
You love love. Sergio loves love.
I do, man. I've always been that musician that I always loved to have a girlfriend, man. It's weird. When I break up, I was never like, I'm free, right? It's just like, nah, like, you know, there's tons of women. They're all crazy and drunk in the bars I was playing at, you know, in my 20s. So yeah, I do love love.
Yeah. How does Peyton handle that? Because we're in a similar situation to where my wife, Anita, has had to put up with my career, which is abnormal. Your career is abnormal. And both of our abnormal careers involve women being in close proximity.
Oh yeah.
And us having to constantly, I don't want to use the word prove to them, but that's really what it comes down to, that all we're doing is our job.
Right.
We're just doing our job. And part of my job is looking like in this picture that there's, you know, something there when the picture's not happening. It's that moment. Like you on the stage connecting with those drunk women, you know.
Yeah, and they're having a good time, you know. I just, it's like you got to dance with them. Yeah. If you don't dance with them, they ain't going to come back to the shows. They're not going to have a good time. And as entertainers, that's my number one job.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, if you stood up there the whole time playing with one hand and pointing on the other, I'm married. Don't dance. I'm married. I'm married.
Exactly. No, that's not the move. That's not the move. Yeah, no, but Peyton does, dude, this is why
she seems super cool about it from, you know, social media standards.
She is so cool, but I think it also takes a confident woman to be so cool with it, right? Yeah. Not only confident in herself, but confident in her man. And I've told every single woman in my career, like on our first date, I said, look, this is what I do. You know, I come home late at night. Yes, there's women. It's a sex, drugs, rock and roll thing. Right? But I'm not into all that stuff. Like I'm passionate about entertaining people, making them dance, making them happy, right? And I tell them, unless I give you a reason, to be digging in my phone, to be asking me a million questions, to be doing, unless I give you a reason, just please don't go there.
Yeah.
If I'm acting funny or, I get a weird...
Speaking of music, just popping in right there.
Right, there you go. But, unless I give them a reason, here you go. Take my phone. Let's have a conversation.
She doesn't seem like the type that would ever question you and go through it and say, hey, I need to have proof. Right?
No, not at all. Not at all. But, I also, when I'm traveling, I'm also honest with her and who I'm talking to everywhere I'm going, My agent and I, we talking to all these chicks after the show. Like, I'm not afraid to say that because I know my intentions were not bad. And it just makes her feel a little bit better. Oh, he actually mentioned that he was hanging around with a bunch of girls.
Yeah, that's what's got me in trouble, honestly, in the past is like, I'm just not going to say anything because I know I'm not doing anything. And if I say something, it could cause, I don't have time for that. I don't have the energy for that.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And then there's a photo that pops up somewhere and it's like, oh, why didn't you tell me? Then you have to go into all that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been it too many times.
Yeah, exactly. So communication.
Yeah, you're doing the right thing. And sometimes it's uncomfortable to say that, but it's just business.
Right.
Really. And you are like the consummate entertainer. You get so much joy out of bringing people joy and making them happy, right? You can see a difference between someone phoning it in and someone actually living in the moment. Man, Ringo Starr last night performed, 83 years old, bro. I think about musicians and the fact that you can do what you do.
Exactly. This is why I chose this path.
Really?
I have chills all over. This is why I chose this path.
Let's talk about that.
And you got to think. All right, put yourself in my shoes for 2 seconds, okay? When I complete a painting and it's on a wall and people go, wow, how did you, what inspired? They have all these questions. They're curious about it. Well, other people are sitting at a desk writing an awesome email. Nobody's saying, wow. They're just like, my boss got mad because I said this and didn't add. Right? There's all these other non-awesome things that go on with just a simple email that people have to send 20 times a day. Right? So going back to it, I do a painting. People are like in awe. Or I play a song. Every 4 minutes at a show, people are like, man, that was awesome. And then you start another song, they get excited. And then you're done with that song. Man, keep it going, right? Like, there are very few careers where every few minutes you are just getting an applause.
Yeah.
And let's not mention during it, people are dancing, hooting, hollering. It's a dream.
It's addicting as well, too, right?
Yeah.
Because you talk about social media with all of the adrenaline dumps that you get from the likes and the comments and the shares and all of what brings us the respect and the love and the appreciation, what every human does, but you do that every single night. So choosing a career that you can continue to do it forever, and it never really goes away until you choose for it to go away.
Right. And even when I'm not doing it, yes, it is semi-addicting, but I don't feel that I need that to be happy.
Right.
Right. Like I love going home and just sitting on the couch with my dog. Right. I don't own a TV, so I don't like fill my brain with any of things that are going on the news or even a TV show. Nothing wrong with TV. But I don't mind just sitting there on the couch with my dog or going in the studio, painting another little masterpiece. I mean, it's all creation.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at life,
There's the website is up here. I have some of your art in the house. If you guys want to check it out, go to sergiosfineart.com. We're looking at it right now on the screen. So you donate stuff to, you had mentioned veterans. I know you've done some stuff for some other unique situations. Now I see you have NFTs. What have you done recently that you're excited about with your art specifically?
There's a couple things. I just got back doing a really cool show. It's actually that photo. If you scroll up, it's not on the screen anymore, but there's a cool photo where I'm painting in front of a few thousand people.
One more.
Scroll, that one right there. So you can see I'm there on the stage, and then there's a big screen two big screens on either side.
You got the Mick Jagger and the Marley there.
Yeah. So I painted a Mick Jagger in front of a big audience in Orlando recently, and just the energy, man. Just the energy. Well, there's these two guys. One was on violin, another was on guitar, performing Rolling Stones tunes.
Wow.
I was painting a Mick Jagger. So it just really made sense naturally to the people, made sense to us. Never met these guys before.
Really?
Just got on stage and they did their thing. I did my thing. We high-fived after and went backstage.
See, that's super dope right there, that you have individuals with a common passion that collaborate and do something unrehearsed, and you come out with something super cool like that. And you just walk on with your life.
and that's how you know they're pros, because we have this mutual understanding, unspoken understanding that, okay, cool, we're going to be on the same stage. We got to entertain as if we've been doing this forever. And again, this is all unspoken. And you look at them, there's one was probably like in his 50s. Both look like they're in their 50s. And you could just look at them like, oh, they've done it all, you know. And we don't need to explain like really anything. It's like, okay, you have a 30-minute set. Okay, I can do the Mick Jagger painting in 30 minutes. Let's vibe.
Wow.
You know, and then you just go unrehearsed. And that's the magic of it too, though. Because if this was all rehearsed, we knew what was going to go on, how it was going to go on. It kind of takes away that magic of
then there's expectations that if you don't hit them, it's like, oh, I messed up.
Exactly.
There's no messing up in this. Even if you do a wrong stroke or you hit the wrong note, it's still in the flow and you correct as you go, and no one ever really knows anyway.
Right.
You know, I mean, how many times have you messed up on a guitar solo and no one knew any difference because they weren't judging you for it? They were having fun.
Right. Exactly.
That's where we get in our own heads, right? And we start creating these stories that don't exist. Like, oh, I screwed up. I suck. No, you don't. You're great. You're a human. You messed up a note. Big deal.
No, and that's a really good point. I mean, in the music industry, as a guitar player, when you mess up a note, or even as a singer, you know, you forget the lyrics and you just kind of ad lib, that almost adds to the show.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a really cool video. I think it was, there's tons of videos, but I think it was Chuck Berry. He had broken his string on stage and he just kept singing. One of his guys brought him a string, bam, 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 hooked it up, tuned it, didn't skip a beat, tuned it right there, and then just came in with a guitar solo. And I explained, especially to young artists, it's like you almost want to mess up on stage because that gives you the opportunity for people to go, oh, what's he going to do now? And then when you just execute and keep going without skipping a beat, you make it look easy. That's when people are like, wow, they're going to be talking about that moment in the concert and nothing else.
Yeah, the mess up.
The mess up. Exactly.
Yeah, that gives me chills because I think about what the human mind is capable of doing. I was talking about this the other day with a podcast guest I had on. And as I sit here and talk, I'm filtering through 30 thoughts in the back of my mind while I'm present with you in this moment,
right? Trying
to formulate in flow and all of this sort of stuff. So for Chuck Berry or Sergio Gutierrez to break a guitar string and just be able to do this and make a connection with somebody off stage, and they know without you saying a word, you bring it over, they take it off, you keep going, they put it on, they slide it, and you ring, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
How fascinating is that in that moment to just flow and do it, and everyone is still engaged completely. Now, the alternative would be, I broke a fucking string.
Yeah, you know? Stop the song. And everybody's just kind of like, oh, all right, right. And that can be applied to, I'm thinking in my head, almost any industry. If you make things look easy while keeping it in flow with any obstacles that come up, I mean, that's the epitome of just magic.
Well, I guess that's where the 100 hours of training comes in, or it takes X amount of hours to become an expert at something.
Right.
That's where that comes in, right? Because you can't do that without putting in that many hours.
Without the experience.
Without the experience of
Yeah.
having broke several strings in the past and maybe making the mistake of stopping the whole show and going, yeah, that didn't work out so well. I need to try it different the next time.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
So I love that, man. So we got the art, and now you were recently somewhere pretty cool. Did you go to Jamaica?
The Bahamas.
The Bahamas.
I played a show out there. It was
Yeah.
so fun, man.
Have you ever thought when you first started that someone would say, hey, we're in the Bahamas, we got a gig, we want to fly you out here to do this?
Yeah, of course. I'm not surprised because I've ran through all this in my head.
There you go.
That's why when with my best friend, we always talk about being mansion buddies.
Yeah.
Like I know it's going to happen. And, when we get to that point and he's my mansion buddy, it's almost not surprising because you've already rehearsed it in your head.
Yeah, you look at the Conor McGregors of the world and people that
Exactly.
have seen themselves holding 2 belts or whatever.
Sure.
It's the power of intention, the power of proximity, the power
Sure.
of belief. There's so many things, right? All prefaced by the power of whatever you attach to it, right? So you have the power of doubt,
Yeah.
or the power of fear or the power of whatever. It's like you replace that end word with something that is going to lead you down that path to end up in the Bahamas. So what was that gig about? What did you do? And
It was just a really fun corporate gig, but the cool thing about it was, again, kind of what we were talking about earlier. It was with musicians I never played with before. There was no rehearsal. It was 2 weeks. I got a call 2 weeks before the gig and said, yeah, sure, and flew out. And we just knocked it out of the park. Never played with these guys before. And they're calling songs that were not even on the set list.
oh, wow.
Because usually when you get hired, it's like, okay, here's a set list. Basically, learn your stuff, carry your weight. As a pro, you got to just do that, right? And it's fun when they call out stuff you don't know. You're like, hit it. Here we go.
So what happened? Did their guitar player get sick or whatever? I mean, why?
He was unavailable.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. And in my mind, I didn't make. And here's another good tip for especially young artists. It's not always about the money.
Right.
Like number one in my head when I got the call, I'm like, well, I've never been to the Bahamas. Here's an opportunity. And I don't like to say no to good opportunities like that. Right. And number two, it makes my business look better because who else is getting the call? Why did they call me? It makes my, just a musician that has integrity, that's professional, that has all these qualities that I can get a call.
Your brand.
2 weeks. Yeah,
It's your brand.
exactly. So it's not always about the money. Yeah, I made a few bucks, but I also spent some because we were there for like 4 days and the gig's only an hour and a half. So what do you do the rest of the, basically 4 whole days? You just have a good time.
You didn't get your
Explore.
hair braided like everybody else does. Did they want you to?
No way.
Let's braid that beautiful
No, heck
hair.
no. I'd probably get fired. And they're like, we'll play without a guitar player. No.
So how many people hire you for your, how much does your hair factor into your brand?
I'm sure quite a bit, but I don't get to have those conversations really. Like they don't say, hey, we're calling you because of your hair. But it has to be, I think it's a whole package. I have to know how to play.
Right. Of course.
And be that fun. In the industry, we call it be a fun hang.
Okay.
You can hire the best guitar player, but if he's a jerk off the stage, or if he just, at dinner, he just doesn't talk to anybody, or he's on the phone or whatever, like that's not a good hang.
Yeah.
So you get hired for being a good hang, and I'm sure it's the way I dress and the hair and yeah.
So how did this corporate gig find you for these guys? Was it your social media presence? Do you have someone actively promoting you out there? Because that's really important for a young musician, because you're all about mentoring and helping people as well. So.
Yeah. I'll start off by saying it's all about relationships. I have an agent out in Orlando, and he has just become my best friend, and he's the best man at my upcoming wedding. And my agent books all these bands and all these events. And there's a slot open. He goes, hey man, want to cruise up? I'm like, to hang with my best friend and play guitar in a place I've never been? Let's go.
Yeah.
It's a dream, man. It's a dream. It's really, but I worked my ass off. As you know, it's like some people look at you, and I'm sure every day it's like, oh, you're on gear. It's your genetics. It's your blah, blah, blah. It's the list goes on. But you're like, look, Have you ever looked at the fact that I wake up and work my ass off every day?
Yeah. It's
How about that?
people just don't want to.
Haters, man.
Yeah, they don't want to give credit. Hey, listen, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Couple commercials for you here. One I want to talk about before we cut to this break is one of my buddies, and you've used Training Mask before, Sergio. Training Mask is a device that you breathe through that provides resistance to help your breathing muscles, your diaphragm, get stronger so you can perform better. Like Sergio, for example, is up there, and it takes a lot of effort to sing and play and jump and scream. So the Training Mask, I'll bring you one if you don't already have one, is a great device for someone like Sergio or a housewife who's at home who just wants to be more efficient. You could put it on while you're vacuuming the floor or whatever. So head over to trainingmask.com, use the code Clark, save money there as well. At least check it out. Like, we want to provide tools for you. But anyway, we're going to cut to a couple other sponsors. We'll be right back. When was the last time you had blood work done? Now, I'm specifically talking to men because I know most women are going to take care of their health, but men, for some reason, don't want to go to the doctor. And the guys that I talk to in my coaching program typically haven't had their blood work done in a while. Let me tell you something. It's so important to understand what's going on in your blood. That's the only thing that can tell you where you're lacking in nutrients, what might be happening in your life that will never be figured out otherwise. So this is the reason I've created a relationship with Merrick Health. Now, what we're going to do when you click on the link in the show notes is get you set up to have your blood work done. It's as simple as filling out a form and then going off to a LabCorp or one of the places that we would send you in your town, local to you. Takes you a few minutes. Listen, schedule it into your life because it's that important. I have a discount code for you. It's Clark. Just put that into the thing. You're going to save some money and you're going to go get your blood work done. We're going to find out what's going on in your life. And hopefully there's nothing to be concerned about, but you won't know until you get it done. So fill out the form, book it, and make it happen. All right, so, there are a lot of people out there that play guitar. You're not the only person in the world. But what separates you and makes you unique in that field is the fact that you do art and play guitar at the same time, like you had mentioned earlier.
Yep.
The other musicians, but typically, like you would show up downtown Escondido here, set up a canvas, play some music, turn around. So explain that process and how was that birthed and what you see that makes that, like super special.
Yeah. So the process is pretty simple. I do it as a solo artist. So I play and sing some of the acoustic hits that you've heard. I mean, I'll do some Rolling Stones or some Carlos Santana, and I try to keep it themed. So let's just say I'm going to paint Santana that evening. So within the first set, I'll play a few Santana songs, and then I'll drop the guitar, put on a Santana playlist, and then I'll paint a portrait of Carlos Santana in minutes. And people just, they're blown away, and they love it, right? And it was birthed. It's a very interesting story. So at 15 years old, I picked up a guitar. At 24 years old, I picked up a paintbrush. And when I picked up a paintbrush, like anything else, it wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't making money. I was still learning, right? So music was up here, let's just say. And as I got better at painting and started selling, started getting my name out there as an artist, not just a musician, at 30, bam, they're both plateaued together, right? And we're the type that when we have the focus, when we have the goal, we have a target, we're going to go get it. And we're going to do everything in our power. And so I woke up one morning, I was like, I got to choose one. Today, I'm going to choose one and just go for it, right? They're both doing equally as well. And I love them both. And no joke, the feeling, call it God, call it life, call it what you want. But I felt and heard, do both. And we humans are really good at questioning God. Like we know it all, right? Yes, we are creators, but God is the ultimate creator, right? And so when I heard that, my instant response was like, well, how am I going to do that? Oh, that's impossible. It's like, no, quiet your mind. Hold on. I had a gig a couple days later, and it was at O'Sullivan's. I'd been playing O'Sullivan's for years, right? It was a solo gig. So I called the manager after contemplating doing both in one show. I was like, yo, Terry, don't think I'm crazy. I'm going to bring my guitar, my microphone. I'm going to do the set. I'm going to play music at O'Sullivan's. But I'm going to bring an empty canvas and my easel and all my paints and stuff. Is that cool? She's like, I don't give a shit. Do what you want. Okay. So magic happened that night. I played a set. I played a Beatles song. I cued them to play a Beatles set list while I painted Paul McCartney, and everybody was just like, what was that? So I sold the painting for $200. So after the show, I'm like, this is crazy. I got paid to be here. I got food and drink and tips and all that stuff. Not only that, I sold the painting and I brought something unique to the people. For me, that was the most important part. And I was like, dude, this is going to be something. This is going to be something. And it's taken me all over the world.
Did it increase the value of the art? Because I remember when you had just a boatload of art, you're trying to get rid of it. You're just like, oh man, I got so much of this laying around doing nothing because you created so much. And now that you did it in front of people, did that, one, take off your limiting belief of what your art was worth, because that's a thing.
Yep.
And then two, actually make it more valuable to people because they saw it being created in front of their own eyes. Like, I was there that night, I bought it, I got it for $200. So
yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and you will get those people, now I sell them for thousands of dollars.
Right.
And they're like, bro, we just saw you do it in 20 minutes. Like, how can that be worth that much? And they simply don't get, it's not the time that it took. It's the time that I spent and all the heartache and stuff of being a broke artist in the beginning. Like, you have to account for all that, right?
Well, the hours of training that it took to do what you do, because you have a system and a style that allows you the privilege of being able to create that in that short of time.
Right. And I disciplined myself. I'm all self-taught in music and art, right? And at 24 years old, when at the height of my party days, like, I didn't have to sit there and discipline myself, but I did. Yeah. I don't know how the heck I did it, but I did. I wanted to truly learn. I had somebody email me the other day and they said, man, you're so inspiring. I just took up art. You've inspired me to paint some things. I'm going through some things in life and art is really helping me. I said, that's incredible. And they go, how many paintings did it take? How many paintings do I have to do in order to start selling?
One.
And I said, yo, you've already lost the game. If you're thinking about money, no. This is what I want you to think about. Create for the sake of creating on how and why and how it makes you feel. And do it with enthusiasm. And don't be afraid to share it. A lot of artists, most artists are just, they don't want to show their artwork. They're very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not reclusive. They don't have faith in what they're doing.
Yeah.
You have to.
They doubt. They have limiting self-beliefs, like we all do. Right?
Yeah, we all do. But going back to, did live art kind of break that whole perception of what my art is worth? I mean, when you start doing live paintings, especially, this is, what's happened in my career. I paint for the Padres, right? Like, how did you get that gig? It's like, well, I just started doing live paintings every show. One of my mentors was like, dude, you have a gift, do it every show. I don't care what it takes. Yeah. I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. But then I thought to myself, well, duh. That's why nobody's doing what I'm doing. It takes a lot. And so, once you start painting for the Padres and again hired, I painted at Dean's wedding in Italy, right? So when you have these under your belt, you're more believable. So that when people come to hire you, they're like, oh, can you do this at my daughter's wedding? It's like, it's going to be this much. They go, what? That's absurd. I'm like, well, I just sold a $40,000 painting and gave it all away to charity. So,
isn't it nice when you've gone through your career, we'll talk about that too, that you can say, well, that's my price. Where before, if someone offered you $200, you'd be all over it and devastated if you didn't get it.
Yeah.
You had to take every gig. So that's that process, and that's the journey that we spoke of earlier. That's the enjoyable part of breaking through those limiting beliefs of what you're worth.
Right.
And just to confirm the fact that you need to continue to increase your worth by charging more for your time, regardless of what people say. I get it all the time. People like, we want you to come and do a video for us. How much is it for a half? We only need you for a half day. It's just a couple of lines. It's like, okay, it's $2,500 for a half day. Oh my God. There are so many people that do it for $300. Well, then go get a $300 person that's going to mess up every single time they say the line. You tell me, sell this pen. I don't need a script. I don't need anything. In one fell swoop, I will do that for you and be done, saving you time, money, energy,
efficient.
the cameraman. Yeah, and that's called experience. That's called
excuse me,
confidence. That's called all of what you want in someone representing what it is that you are offering people. And it drives me nuts. So I'm personally working through that as well with my coaching. I didn't believe I was worth $5,000 for coaching until I got a bunch of people to pay me $5,000. And then I'm like, okay, I need to raise my price. And then I hit that ceiling of, man, I'm not sure if anyone's going to pay me $8,000 for my coaching until a bunch of people paid me $8,000 for my coaching. And I performed to the level, you know? And what I tell people is, you're not paying me for my time. You're paying me for results. So don't like expect me to be on the phone with you every day. Do what I say and the results are going to come. So now I've hit, I'm past that ceiling. So I'm at the next level now, and I just got to get the next person to pay that next fee. And then my limiting belief will be broken again.
Right. So what's next for Clark Bartram?
Well, right now, what is next is I've got this coaching business that I'm growing. I thought about it this morning. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 coaches that work alongside me, all of whom are booked up with people.
Nice.
I just hired a new coach and filled his group coaching because I went out there and got him the business. So that's what it is. It's scaling this business right now.
Right.
To the point where I can remove myself from the day-to-day and be this guy. Like I have a podcast at 2:00 in Vista. You know Everbowl, the yogurt shop.
Food. Yeah.
I'm doing his podcast. So he's got like 475 stores. So
wow.
Yeah, talk about proximity. Now I'm going to be on this guy's podcast who's doing massive business, and he's a younger guy. He's probably your age. And I'm like, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. I just need to be around him. I need to get some of that energy.
You learn, you learn if you want to learn.
It's going to help me scale my business.
Yeah.
So I'm there. I'm doing what I've always wanted to do, but you have to take a step back and realize that, wait a minute, I'm up here on the stage freaking jamming in front of a bunch of people, making them happy. I'm doing what I dreamt about in New Mexico on that dirt street.
Yeah. Totally.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's awesome, man. And that's what it is. Scaling, I think, people who are depressed, if they just focus on progress, getting better, scaling, maybe not scaling as far as I need more, but scaling as far as like learning and getting to that next level, even if it's mentally, right? Physically.
Especially if it's mentally.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly specifically if it's mentally, because you and I both know that's the key to the kingdom of whatever it is you want. Like
starts here, baby. People don't realize that.
It's not marketable. That's the problem.
Right.
You can't sell that sort of hard work.
You're right.
It's not sexy and it's not appealing. The amount of people that told me, Clark, don't lead with mindset. People don't want to hear it. I can't not lead with it because it's just true. And I'm never not going to be that guy that tells the truth. Now, I do understand sell them what they want and give them what they need. You kind of unleash that on them later. But at the same time, I'm like, listen, man, it's mindset is key for you're a musician and an artist. It's key for a fitness coach. It's key in your new relationship and my old relationship. It's key when you're training your dog and they don't listen. It's everything.
Yeah, it really is. Even if you work at it, let's just say a supermarket, and you're just scanning all day saying, hi, how are you? Oh, have a good day. Hi, how are you? Have a good day. But if you do it with a little bit of pep in your step, there's going to be somebody you're scanning their groceries. They're going to be like, hey, I like you.
Yeah.
What else? What's your other gig? Is this your only gig? Because I do X, Y, Z, and I need somebody with your pep.
Dude, the amount of people that I saw that I wanted to steal from wherever because they're so good. There's a girl at the tanning salon. I'm like, you're really good at what you do.
Right.
And if I had a position that I needed someone for, I would really love to steal you from here or whatever. But just encouraging someone in their gift, I think, is important too, because it's rare these days that you find someone who stands out like that.
Right.
So question for you with fitness. Now, I know fitness is big for you. We actually met in the gym. How does fitness play in not only to your gift and your talent, but also the mindset piece to keep you going? What role does fitness play for you?
Well, the thing I love about fitness is it's difficult. And if you could do something that's difficult and apply it to anything in life, relationships are difficult, dealing with whatever in life. And fitness really, it's almost like that one more rep, like don't give up, do your best. It's the mindset behind it all. Aside from physically feeling great, looking great, feeling confident, it's difficult.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to keep it consistent. It becomes easier the more consistent you get because now you feel like you need it. But there are days, I'm sure it's for you, you've been in the industry forever. There are days where you're just like, well, maybe I should just skip today. Like,
It won't hurt.
Exactly.
All
right?
the excuses and the rationalization. Got a question, Jim? You got something you want to ask Sergio? Anything? I know, because you're a musician. Jim's a musician.
I can see the amps and the guitars and love it.
What's your take on like your original music? Is that something that you're focused on pursuing in the future more? Is that?
Absolutely. That's actually a really good question. I've been meeting up with my mentor, David Corbin, and I've been stressing that to him. Like, look, I feel like I'm at the point in my career where I really feel like I can make a big moment with the people who follow me by creating original music, creating an album, they're just like, oh, of course. Yeah. He came out with his own music, right? I feel like I'm at that point, but my mentor is just kind of like, well, why? Are you doing it for them or you want to do it for yourself? And it kind of made me think, right? And if I'm being honest, right now that's not a focus. It's just a want right now. And writing is a whole different skill. I'm a professional performing artist, right? It's a whole other skill to become a writer.
Yeah.
So at this point, I don't feel like I'm a writer. I have some songs. I have like 100 songs in that phone right there that are half done. Some are even done, right? They're not full studio songs, but to answer your question, yeah, original music is coming.
What's
coming.
This?
Oh, that is an original song. That is an original song. So not to say that I don't have originals, but it's not a focus right now. So yeah, you can go to Sergio Gutierrez music and there's a song called Bed You Made. Of course, it's about a breakup. And now she's not living such a great life, and she just treated people really badly, and she made her own bed.
We play a clip of it?
Yeah, go for it.
You're finally wise enough. You said you had enough, but you never had his love. The money screams so cold. You're only getting old. You cry for what can't be bought or sold.
Right on. So
all the best songs are written from heartbreak, right?
You got to feel something.
Yeah, you got to feel something. Or inspiration. I get what you're saying about like it's not a focus, and I love how your manager pushed back and like, listen, why? You know,
Yeah.
Howard Stern always asks people, why did you get out of network television and try and be a TV star when you were killing it
Right.
in network television? Wasn't that good enough for you? And why? You ruined all of what you had going for you. But when you wake up one morning and it's burning in your gut and you say, I have to release this song, not for the people, but because it's in me. Like I've written a couple songs.
Exactly.
Because,
That's my
and
point.
I'm not a musician. I've written some songs because I was talking to my best friend back in Ohio, and it's like, that's the title of a song. I wrote a movie script because that's the title of a movie script. I wrote a book because that's the title of a book. You helped me write a book because you called me in the morning and said, aren't mornings magical? And I heard that's the title of a book, and I knew it needed to be written.
Right.
Otherwise,
So
I
you get
couldn't
it.
live. I couldn't live with it in me.
Right.
Yeah. So when you have that, then it will be the thing that really is meant to happen at that time. So yeah, just keep on, doing what you do, because there still is a uniqueness about what you do. It's not like you're just a cover band guy.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, and I think one of the main difficulties for me, I like tons of different types of music. I'll be listening to Zach Brown Band and Garth Brooks, and then I'll listen to, some Megadeth and some Pantera. And it's like, I love playing both kind of guitar styles. I love just the lyrics on both sides. It's like, so that's actually the confusion. I think I would work it like anything in life. I would just need to sit down and choose clarity. It's just choosing that clarity.
Yeah.
Because if you just have everything scattered and you're like, oh, no, you don't need to. You just hone in.
Right.
You don't need all that scatterbrain stuff.
Yeah, we've all been there, right? And feel like we need to do so many different things. And, I'd mentioned the fact that Sergio was the one who was the inspiration for me to write the book Magical Mornings. He called me just one morning. I can't remember the exact chain of events, but I was
on Instagram.
Yeah. And I hit a heart on one of his posts. I liked it. And
Show
then
the book.
And then
Show it right there.
Yeah, the book right over here, right there next to Serge.
It's right here,
That one right there, yeah. So I hit a heart, and then I get a phone call, and I'm like, oh, how can I not answer this call from this beautiful human who's going to inspire me, not suck life out of me? I knew it was going to be a life pouring in thing. I'm like, what's up? You're like, man, aren't mornings magical? And I was like, oh, man. Like literally in that moment when he said that, from an innocent phone call, from a like on a picture, that book was born right there, man. And I got up and I went to Starbucks and I sat outside Starbucks, and there's a window and there's a guy in there every day doing work. And I'm out there with my limited ability of typing. And he came out one day. He's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm writing a book, man. He's like, really? About what? So we had this conversation. Now I'm committed to what I confess. I have to finish it.
Right.
Because I've told someone, and there it is. And I've sold many, many copies of that book. And it was simply because that guy right there said, aren't mornings magical?
They are. They are if you make them.
Yeah.
Mornings can suck, but mornings can be magical too.
Yeah. Well, I love the quote I have in there from Rumi, a 16th century poet. It says, the morning breeze has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep.
Chills.
Right? Because you're up early, it's quiet, everything is just,
Yes.
it's like there's nothing to distract you from the thoughts going through your mind. And there's a secret that morning breeze wants to tell you. And if you're not up early enough to hear it, you miss out on it.
Yeah, and if you just really sit and feel, let's just say you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, it's just the energy in general. Like outside, you're not hearing very many vehicles passing by. Your phone's not going off the hook. Things aren't buzzing quite yet. The birds aren't up and awake and flying, and it's just the energy is just so. It's like you're just kind of just floating, and you're floating in all the answers. Which one are you going to focus on? There's answers everywhere because you're not drowning in waves.
Yeah. I wish more people would get that, man.
Yeah.
Because it's become almost cliche in a way, because a lot of people start talking about it, and I appreciate that. But unless you really get the true essence of what Sergio just said, you do it and have this expectation of getting something from it. And that's not how to approach it. You approach it by just waking
Basking
up
in
with
it.
an intention. Like it says, set your alarm, your intentions in your life. And I don't even use an alarm. You know, I can't. I go to bed at 8, like clockwork. I get up at 4:30 with like
Bing.
clockwork. Just
Yeah.
bing. Like I couldn't imagine waking up to oh God.
Well, and for those of you out there who use the term alarm clock, switch alarm with opportunity.
Yeah.
It's your opportunity clock.
Yeah.
It's
Alarm.
ringing, baby.
Yeah. Opportunity clock. There you go. Switch that's called framing, right? We've just reframed a go-to phrase or title to something that we've used forever. Alarm clock. Man, I don't want to be alarmed by anything.
Right. We're alarmed by too many things nowadays.
Yeah. You're in school. You're like, hey, pull the fire alarm. Pull the fire alarm. No, you do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to jail. They'll arrest you for pulling that fire alarm. They know where you're at. They take some fingerprints. Like all of these stories that you create around this alarm thing, man.
Oh, shoot.
So where can people find you online? We've obviously talked about the websites, but go ahead and say them again and say your social media channels, because I want everyone to follow this man, because you should be very selective about who you're following and why. And I'm telling you, like I received that positive inpouring of great energy that morning, that's exactly what you're going to get from him every time you see one of his posts.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So Sergio's Fine Art, you can find all my live art stuff, and you can even commission a painting for me, an original painting. Sergio Gutierrez music.com. You can find a bunch of videos and a bunch of cool stuff, some booking. But I just recently got a Linktree. So if you get on Linktree, it's under Sergio's Art and Music, same as my Instagram. So Sergio's Art and Music, and that has links to everything. I even have my own. I'm invested in a sparkling wine, Barace. Yeah. You can find that on there, so you can kind of see all of what I do on the Linktree.
Definitely check out all of his stuff. And speaking of the commissioned art, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the piece that I commissioned him to do, the One Life beautiful painting that you see in all of my stuff. That hangs proudly in my office. And I told you that people would see that. It's the backdrop for my Zoom calls. It's the backdrop for my interviews. It's the backdrop for so much. And then other people have reached out to you and said, hey, how do I get one of those One Life paintings for Clark? Because we customized it. And it's huge, man. I had to rent a van to drive it home from his house. But it has my birth date down the side. It has Get Busy Livin at the bottom. Limit one per person.
It's like a ticket, right?
Yeah.
So the number on either side, I believe it's your birthday.
It's my birth date. And, Get Busy Livin, as you know already, I stole right from Shawshank Redemption. But that to me is a reminder every day. And the beauty of that piece is my great friend made it for me from his gift. So there's a whole lot of layers to this stuff right here. And I hope that you're feeling this. And I hope that you have someone like Sergio in your life that is one of those people that we referred to earlier, that levels you up, that you want to be in proximity of, that you, even if it's been months since you've been around him or her, whatever that person is in your life, that when you leave, you feel better because of it. And hopefully you feel better because of this. Anything you want to say in closing, brother?
Yeah, I just think, as I get older and as life becomes more and more of a dream, I just more and more want to spread the message of just working on your self-image and working on your character. And I think I put out so much positivity because I truly do believe in people. There's never been a cap to human potential. And if people would just write that down somewhere, in your bathroom mirror or in your car, there's never been a limit. And I just believe in people. I believe in that if they just try a little harder, maybe not look at the whole picture, take chunks at it. Just you are magically made, and you can do whatever you want.
That's huge, man. There's definitely not a cap on what you can do, man. That opens up a whole another conversation here, but I think we've given you the fire hose of positivity today. So once again, go follow Sergio. And as always, get busy living, and make it a great day.